It's like even if my no is here and if uh, this is not showing, it's always showing this. And I tried switching the blocks every time it's getting passed to the else condition. The if condition is not working.
Assign something.
Sorry, sir.
One second, I'll just check one thing. Maybe use EQ instead of double equal to
I should use.
EQ. EQ is a function which is in Java, even it's in Perl also. Like it's used for comparing strings.
Okay, so answer dot eq.
Yeah. No, it's case sensitive. What I think she did no captain only. I mean, in the previous case.
So here I should put no.
Yeah. Yeah, it show the output again. Other is saying like you made it like case sensitive, so she gave correctly only. Okay, so yeah. Let's see. It's not able to recognize it. Variable answer of type string. It will give us true. Okay, print answer before this. Let it be equal to w equal to. Let's see.
Pooja,
Yeah.
you can check the value of answer is equals no, like by using a boolean. Just check whether it's coming true or false.
Yeah, I was thinking that. So should I continue doing whatever you said, or should I?
Let's see. Is there anything extra character?
Yeah.
If, even if some space something comes out, it's not equal, right?
Skipping this only.
The problem is we can't see what it's. Find.
You wait, sir. No, this doesn't zoom in.
No. I mean, no. I saw the answer. I mean, I saw no, but I was saying like check the length of answer instead of printing the answer. Just add length. Okay. So that's fine. Go to your condition again. Just report. Answer is no. Go to your else condition. There is no condition. What if I give yes?
Sorry, sir.
It is try yes. No. Try yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every time it's getting passed to default only.
Okay, go back to your code. The condition can be answer. Go up where you're getting answer.
So if I try that if no is then how should I put the condition here? Like if no equals one.
yn. You can use that.
Sorry.
Y for s and
Sir, can we declare a Boolean expression true or false?
yeah,
Yes,
true
sir.
or false works also fine. Like
Yes, so Pooja, can you try it?
Yeah. So is that how it should be? Is that how it should look? Or no, or should it
No,
be like
equal to true.
go.
A capital T.
No, I don't think this will work. Let's see. This is just conditional, right? I mean, okay, try this one. If answer equals dot equals bracket. No. Let's see. No, did you compile?
Oh no, I didn't. Sorry. Yeah, now it's coming. Yes, sir.
Equals, I said EQ, right? It's not EQ, it's equals. I just checked. EQ is one which can compare strings. When you give equal to, it compares numerical values.
Right. Yes, sir.
And this same works with Perl also. There we have EQ instead of equals.
Okay. So that was it. So should I stop sharing my screen?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody.
Any other questions, anyone?
So I have something to tell you, but not regarding the lesson. This is about the internal. Sir, can the MTech and MSc people have separate internals like for the lab internal which you had spoken of? Because
Anything is flashing?
So actually the MTech people, they want to have it on 6th of July, while we have a lot of other exams lined up. A final semester lab exam and also a internal lab exam, and also other exams and assignments are there. And because of this continuous exams and assignments, we're not getting any time at all to sit and practice Java, which definitely requires some time from our end.
No problem. When you want to have it?
So can we have it on the week before the semester exam starts, like in the week 11 to 17 July, sometime in that week?
11 to 17. Okay, you want to have it maybe 13?
Yes, sir. 13.
And then MTech will have on 6th, right?
Yes, sir, up to them, whenever they want to have it.
Okay. No issues, like if anyone...
Sir, the internal, what will be the duration of the exams you wanted to know?
Yeah, just keep it one question or two questions, 2 programs, and then Viva, that's it.
Yes, sir, Viva will be individual, right?
Yeah.
So actually, on 6th we have maths class immediately after the Java class. So, if possible, we can take it on 9th Friday when we have the lab class.
9th.
Yes, sir, Friday.
Yeah, no problem. That's fine.
Okay, sir. We'll take the 9th, sir. Empty. Thank you, sir.
So what will be the total marks for this lab internal?
It will be 40 marks actually. because this is same as the other internals, right? Because your final exam will be for 60. Here, I'm not going to keep any extra internal for practical, so it's going to be just one internal. So it will be like 40 marks.
And so that is all for Java. Like, will there be any internal tool for theory Java?
Yes, of course, because we wrote only for I think 16 marks, right? So we should have one more.
So can you please make it an assignment?
I think already one assignment is in due. I'm not sure how many of you have submitted that. Like I think very few only I received. Yeah.
Sir, I have submitted, I don't know about the others. Like, sir, I'm telling to this assignment to assign some marks for this assignment to take it in the form of internal too.
You're telling like one internal and then two assignments like that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we have a lot lined up.
But the first internal did not like cover anything at all, right? It was just very basic one.
Sir, what is happening is that we are only giving us assignments and internals. There is no point in going up for exams like this when we are not studying at all.
But you are getting some practical experience, right? Okay.
So that is true, but we also need some time to study before going for an exam. So we are anyway going for the internal exam, so that
Yeah.
also requires.
I don't know. I'm just making my comment. For any subject, it's okay. But for programming, I don't think you have to study anything like concept wise. It will be more experience or practical. Like if I ask you what is control statements in Java, so you can easily tell which controls the like flow of your program, right? Like if loop, and all those things. This is just my personal comment because I'm just making it.
Like,
You may vary, yeah.
if you want to take the internal too, then can we please keep it not immediately?
So then you want me to consider this previous assignment some marks, right? Then I will keep it this way. Okay. Let that one assignment be there. But
No, sir. Actually, most of us didn't know that carried marks for the
no, I did. I didn't keep it.
Sir, because it was not actually an assignment. It's like
Yeah.
we
Just
didn't
like
have
an
to work for
exercise.
that. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It wasn't an assignment actually.
No, but considering all these cases and the situation,
Yes, sir. Actually, last time Murli sir gave us assignment in form of like programs. He gave us 10 programs and asked us to like write any 6. And he said that if not everyone shouldn't copy and like different, it should be different ways. Like
okay.
that, he gave the assignment.
No, but if you want, you can. Look, I have received almost like 41 response for the previous one. You want me like we wrote already like 15 marks test, right? It is 16 marks actually, but let's make it 15. Okay, I'll take highest marks, even though it is for 16 marks. Then if I consider total should be 40, right? So I should have. I don't know. It's making like more assignment than one more internal. Then I can make it 40. Like if I do that way.
Yes, sir. Actually, there are too many internals left for us as well. So, like, if possible, we can take the second internal towards the end.
That is fine. Yeah. Okay. Then I will do one thing. Like, then can we give you one assignment and one internal? Like it's not an assignment.
Assignment it is okay for us. And
Yeah.
internals,
It's not okay.
no sir, it is also okay, but we need some time.
Yes, sir, both is okay, but for internal we need some time. Study.
Because next week we have 3 to 4 internals in the next week, sir.
Sir, we already have too much, so don't give us both. If
That's what I
possible,
was thinking. Because if
either
I
of the
increase,
one.
it is going extra one assignment, one
Yes, sir.
internal.
Yes,
So
sir.
Yes,
That will
sir.
be too much.
maybe what I will do, whatever I got right, I will give mark for this assignment also. Okay. If you have not yet submitted, please submit the assignments. Okay. I'll share the link.
So can
Are
we
you
have the
talking?
internal on 25? Then it will be like simple 15 plus 25. Second internal 25 towards the end.
Yeah, I can make it that way also.
Yes, sir. Because we are having assignments to submit now, and we have exams later. So it will be easy if we just have one internal left. That's
Yeah. Is that okay for everyone? Like, just one more internal with 20
Sir,
marks.
can you please keep NSC and MTech people separate? I mean, separate dates for both.
Yes, sir. Because we have a lot
Yeah,
of
no
subjects
issues.
lined up.
Yeah, I
Make
can keep
really
it
tough.
separate, no problem. But I think I will keep it as an exam, 25 marks. Fine, right?
Sir, you are considering the assignment which you have given related to packages, right?
So with the last someone said right, like just 25. So if I add both, it is 48 already. Or maybe I can do one thing. For the assignment you submitted, I'll give you 5 marks. I mean, for 5 marks, and then we'll have one internal for 20 marks.
So that will be really nice, sir. That
Right.
will be really helpful.
At least
Yes, sir.
you did something, so I can give some marks for that assignment also. And you have submitted, but whoever have not yet submitted, please to submit. So this assignment, I'll just now make it with some marks. So the assignment which you have already submitted, so you don't have to worry about it. People who have not yet have submitted, please to submit. It carries 5 marks, and then already you wrote for 15 marks, so 20 is over. I'll keep one more exam for 20 marks.
So that means for theory, one more exam of 20 marks, and we are going to have the lab internal of 40 marks.
Yeah, right.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, and for lab exam, make sure you, like as I said, like you have compiled all the programs and then outputs, right? Just keep ready of the Word document.
So before the internals, right?
Better to have it ready because already, I think if you are doing it regularly, then there is nothing more to do. But if you have not
Yes.
done anything, then it's again a lot of work.
Yes, sir. We've got it. We've done that.
Yeah. If you have it, then there is no issues at all. Like, you can have it. Because for the final exam, it will be like this. So the form will be like, it will ask your name, registration number, and it will ask you to upload that Word document. It can be Word or PDF, any document. The programs which you have did so far throughout this practical class. And the last one more upload will be there. That will be the questions which is given during the exam, like the aim of the program, source code, and then if you can write some few steps what you did, and then the output. So that will be for the final exam. And for internal also it's the same case. Like internal, we don't have to upload that record of that document which you are preparing, just only the output, just your output, like source code and output file. And maybe I can show you which I did for C program. C program also we need to have for MTech. That is the form. I'm just looking for a form 1 second. Please, okay. Let's just share my screen. So it will be like this, okay. You can see my screen. So semester exam, name, registration number, email is automatically collected, and then like record e-copy, and then questions. After you finish your question, just you can upload the file. So this is how it's going to be for your final exam. For the internal exam, it will be just this part, the first part, section 1, and then section 3. So for final exam, it will be like, so I have made it like that record which you are submitting will carry 10 marks and 10 marks for Viva. And then 2 questions, 20 marks. Because your final exam is for like 3 hours. I hope you can make 2 programs. So this is going to be a format. Any questions? But make sure you just send me the dates correctly where you want to keep the exam, because both are separated.
Yes, sir. I'll tell you about the MSc part.
Yeah. Any other questions? Any doubts? We'll just go back to the same topic which we were seeing yesterday. You can try this actually. This AWT you can try. If you have not yet tried any of the previous given programs or problems, please try to complete it. Yeah, I think yesterday we were seeing about labels. Anyone? Yeah, sure. Let it start recording. Just taking a while. Let's go back and see what we have here. Okay, like yesterday we were seeing how we can create buttons and how we can, like, if the button is being clicked, so we were able to trigger or show output or some command which we want to show as a text. We were able to do that by using action listener class. Then we saw about labels, just adding labels to the window, the frame which we are creating. So there is a class for label also, which is like label, and we are creating objects, and using the object we can create labels. Like, but you should know where you are positioning the label and where it should start and end, all those information. So you can. This is the last example, which is like when we like listen to an action, and then if it is being clicked, then we can use internal functions and then get host address here, getting the IP address here. I will not see what this function means, but you can use any functions also. Even it's not about just text, you can use any other functions also. You see in the further this AWT windows. The next one is text field. Text field is just to create a text field. Like you can add default. By default, you can just make sure that you can display things. Text field will show in a box. Label will not show in a box. That's the difference. So for text field, we have one class called text field. So T1, T2 are the objects, and we are creating a text field object should with a parameter which is welcome to Java point, and we are just setting it. After setting everything, we just have to add everything to the frames. And frame size, late is null by default, and visibility is true, so that it will show the text field. So another one is text area. So what is the difference between text field and text area is text area will be like a larger size, but the text field will be a single line. So we have an example like class which is called text area is our class name. So same way, the usual one. All these are coming under the major class, which is like text component, which is being used by the text area class. Use this star import, then you can use all the classes and all the class members methods into your program. Only thing is you have to have an imagination how you want to show your app window, like the frame, what it should contain. Say you may have like an application form kind of thing, like it will show like name, and you can give a text box what is in your name and age, gender, class, semester, all those things you can give. It's, I think you had a course in first semester like creating an HTML form or using HTML to create a web page. So the same concept, but here we are using Java, and then with the abstract window toolkit, we are creating these frames, and then we can get in values from users. Here, so far we have whatever we are seeing is just it is showing some text inside a box, or it is showing some labels. Further, we can see how we can read from these and then utilize in our program. So the class here, which is new here, is this is text area, and an object which is area. This is the object which is created for the text area class. And the usual ones are the frame class and the frame object. And this text area will display something. If you don't give, it will not display anything. But if you give something, it will say like enter DNA sequence or enter protein sequence. You can give whatever you want to display to the user in the window. And set bound is to set where it should start and what is the dimension of that box. So you can see it should start from 10 and 30, but 300 is the range. So you can see 300 is this much. And then the 400 is the frame size. So 300 is this much, this is 100. So 400 by 400 is so. So here we are just adding this area into the condition. We are telling like how much it should be the dimension, where it should start, end, and add everything to the frame. Add everything to the frame. Then you can just simply call this one. Then it will be automatically called, because this is just a function here. A function or a method we will tell. So just you can call this one. It will invoke it and it will show this one. This is just a trigger. Nothing is showing here. Like you can't do anything. There is no button. Nothing is there. But if you want, you can add the extend the button class and add a button object, and then using action listener class. Once the button is clicked, maybe you can display like something like which you want to show to the user. So we have seen like text box, text area, there is text field, label, all those things. Let's go to the next one, which is called checkbox. So checkboxes is from this, like which an important class, it is component class, and then the item selectable accessible. So like these all are included in this checkbox. These are the base classes which are like extended and implemented to this checkbox class. So as you know, checkbox will have multiple options. You can click and choose any of the field which is given in the form, or any options. Like, so how do we create this? Like, this is a constructor for this one, same class name, frame object, and then object for the checkbox class. So when you're creating the first object, you are giving what is it? It's for C++, and what is the size? Size in the sense like XY coordinates and the dimensions. And for the second box, this Java, by default we are keeping it true. You can set multiple arguments also. If you want to check, you can check this checkbox constructor which is present in the checkbox class. But like, can you tell what is the difference between this one and this one? What type it is or what it is showing? It is one of the conceptual nodes. Like the same functioning, but the parameters are different. So what concept it is? Same functioning with different parameters. Can you tell? Or you are able to Follow?
Function overloading.
You can say function overloading, function overriding actually, but again, it is more like function overriding when we extend the class or when we create an. So basically, what here it is like, since we have extended from this class, so we have two functions with same name, but the parameters are different. In this sense, it's kind of polymorphism also. Like we are creating two functions with same name with parameters different.
So that's a good constructor, no?
But you can overload, right?
Yes, sir. Like we had.
No, this is not constructor, right? I mean, you can overload constructor also. It's also same kind of.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
if the class name and function is same, then we are calling it constructor. But you can override the constructor or the function with different parameters also. That works.
Okay, sir. Okay. Okay, sir.
So for this class, this is not a constructor, but here in this class for the checkbox, this is a constructor basically. We are setting the size, dimension, all those things, adding it to the frame. Checkbox 1, checkbox 2. Maybe you can do one thing like you can create a box, like set a condition, and then take two checkbox, and then what value is being chosen. We will see that. I think in following example we have like what is being chosen, it will display. So we are adding the both checkboxes to the frame. So it will just show by. So since we have given true, by default this is checked. If we give true for this one also, it will be checked by default. But if you want to give these options, but you want the user to select which of the checkboxes, then you have to use an action listener class where it will get the action from the user. Like if I have ticked Java, it can recognize or it can recognize or it can get in the sense like we have to write a code which has the capability to know what we are doing in the program, in the window basically. So this is the one actually. Basically here instead of action listener, we have something called as item listener. Because these are items in a checklist. So for a listener class, even if it is action listener or item listener, any class, you have to use this event subclass or subpackage, you can tell. So event subpackage. Then under that, like there are many classes inside it. So we have to import these two. So the same thing, like what we are doing is we are creating constructor for this class, and we are using a frame object. Can I know what is final keyword? It is in C++ also, this final keyword. What is the use of final keyword in here or even in C++?
Sir, it should be the same throughout the program.
Yeah, it's like it can't be modified actually. Like the one which is constant, you can tell me. So here, what we are doing is we are creating a label object for the label class basically, and the name is label. Only the difference is class name starts with L, and you can have object name starts with lowercase. And we are aligning the label as center. In previous case, we saw a label we can create. So another method which is present in label class is set element. So label.center is the parameter to keep the label in center position in the frame. And what is your label size? Like in the sense like 100, 100, that size. Then new checkbox we have same thing like which we saw here. We are just using the same two checkboxes we are using and adding it to the frame. Adding everything like adding the checkbox, adding the label into the frame. And here, this is something new. This is checkbox one dot add item listener, the new item listener. So this is a function for this action listener or the item listener class. Here what we're doing is like for this object, the checkbox object one, we are using this function, and what it should do is like it will catch, or it is like more like it will listen, or it will take the state of your checkbox option. It is checked or unchecked. So if that is checked, it will take it as true. If it's unchecked, it will take it as false. In the sense like you can set condition, like here we are using checked, unchecked. So this is a simple expression to compare, like if it is true, you can use this question mark and then this true statement. This is for false. And what this is doing is basically action is listening. So if this is C++ is checked, then it will show checked this one, and then otherwise it will show unchecked. But what we are doing is like we are setting the label. Actually, basically, we are trying to change the label of this window. Like if C++ is clicked, it will show C++ checkboxed, checked, or unchecked, like that. So for the second object, here one thing you can notice for each, we are since this is a checkbox object, we can create the user can click multiple options. Like it's like not an MCQ, but it's kind of a MCQ with multiple answers. So the same for the second object here, second item actually in the list. You can have multiple items. Then we are keeping this is default conditions for the frame, and then just call this checkbox example function, which is the main one. So if you click this one, it will show Java checkbox checked. Let's see how this one works. Checkbox example. Okay, that's the class name. Let's see. Let's copy paste the class name. Oops. So both are not clicked. If I click this one, I click this one, it changes. But the problem here is it will show either one. Like in the sense like what we did is like it will listen to each item and it will show us what is happening in the window. So now both are unchecked, but it will show the last action which is performed by the user. C++ is unchecked. If I check Java, it will show me. Why? Because that's the condition we have set here. In this case, for each item state changed, this is a function which is there, and it is of type that is that item event, which is E server object actually. So if that item is changed, E dot get state change is a function. If it is true, it will show checked. Otherwise, it will show unchecked. But these both are in two different objects. Like for two different objects, is separate one. But only we have kept one label set. Both are like one object only we created. If you see here, this is the final object which we created for the label class. So that's why it is showing like only one. If I click this one, it will show me this. If I uncheck this one, it will show uncheck, but it will not change any state or anything. So that is how you can know what the user is choosing. So if, say for example, I'm creating a program where the user have to choose the given sequence is DNA or RNA, you can like give options. Like basically, it's how you are designing the UX, this user interface. So based on that, you can set different conditions to get users options or users values basically here. Maybe you can try some example of your own creativity. Let me go back here. Any doubts, any questions here? Any questions? If there is no questions, I will move to the next one. You can try all these things actually. So this is like, you can note checkbox groups, ready button, because there is no special things to create ready buttons in AWT. So this is based on object as well as serializable class. These two classes are inbuilt classes in Java that is being used to create the checkbox group. So usual this frame you can type anything, whatever you want. In this example, why they have given for each frame is because they want to, like, even if you run the program, you don't have any information, you will know what this program is about. This is about checkbox group. So CBG is our object for this class, and checkbox is another class, and checkbox 1 is our object, which is we have seen like what is the condition for radio button in HTML is like usually the identifier or the name tag will be same. So that will be like either one will be selected, like name equal to gender or something like that. Maybe I can show you example in HTML, then you can easily understand. I will go for W3 school. Radio button. So here you can notice that name is a favorite language. So we are keeping it same. We just try. So this code will show me I can just select either one only. Why? Because I have kept the name as same. If I change the name, I can select different ones. Sorry. If I keep this language and run, I have kept HTML language, so I can click here and click here also. So this how we can implement in an AWT class is by using the checkbox group. So what we are doing is we are grouping two of the checkbox as one. So here this is for checkbox grouping. We have created a checkbox group object, and that object will be used for each of the checkbox which we create. So by default, like we can include, like as I said, they have multiple parameters to parse in the checkbox or any function. Checkbox, what it should be the content it should display, and which group it belongs to. And this you want to checked or unchecked. You can set this condition, or these are like optional parameters basically. When you just create checkbox, it just creates only one box with nothing will be shown, just small box will appear. If you want to show anything, you can use this, and then if you want to group, you have to use this checkbox group object. And by default, we are keeping it false here, and set boundary is for setting where the checkbox should appear and how much it should go on. Same way we are creating another checkbox with, but what we are doing is we are grouping it together. And the setting boundary, adding the checkbox to the frames, and setting size, layout, and visibility mode. Then calling the function. So since we have used true, it is automatically selected. If we say false, this will should show us like both are not selected. Either one only we can select. Let's check how that works. We go here again. Checkbox group example and use. Let's go here. By default, since we set this one shall selected, and you can consider we are learning Java, that's why it is being selected. I click here, it will disappear. But in the previous case, you can see I can select multiple also. If I add one more thing, I can select one more object. Now why here they have kept two? If what will happen if I set both false? Let's see. I can keep it empty also. It's not a mandatory. I'll just exit this one. It will not show any of them, then I can select either one. Let's try the other way. What will happen if I set both true? What will be the answer? Any guess? If I set both true, I have set both true. So what will be the expected output or what it will show? Anyone want to
Exception?
try? Let's see. Will it compile? It works the same way. It does not change. You can add an exception, but by default, it will not show any error or anything. Since these are grouped, so it's not going to show you anything, even if you set it true. But the thing is like the first box is set right, it is true. Then the later one, okay, let me do one thing. I will add one more box. I will let me like box 3. Pearl for same size. I will give this 200 so that it will appear below. And I have to add that into the frame. Yeah, that's it. Save. What did I do? Did I do any mistake in the program? What did I change? Let's go back. Check. Okay. Okay, I did not change this one. That's why it went down. I created a checkbox, but I did not use 3 here. Actually, I was using 2. So what it did is like it changed this location into this one. Since it's running from top, so it has just changed the bound position at a different place. I didn't. Anyway, it worked because I have added Java, so it worked. So the last one which you keeping true will be selected basically. So Perl is added. Like you can add multiple options. So now you can use item listener class to know what is being selected. Right? That's the next example. Yeah, item listener. So now we know how we can choose, how we can create a radio button or checkbox. But to listen to that, you have to add one more thing to this one. This is label. You can change this. This is, you keep it final. This will be the one which will never change it. But you can modify it anyway. So this is frame. We are adding the frame just to tell the name of the frame. What is the frame name? And label alignment center if you want to keep center, or you can use left right also. And label size. This is for a checkbox group object, and then checkbox 1, checkbox 2 we are adding, and then the size where it should start, like x-axis 100, y-axis 100 and 150. And by default both are not selected, and we are adding to the frame, everything to the frame. And this is frame size, sorry, and this is layout null, and then visibility true. Now we are adding one more thing for the first object of this checkbox 1. Add item listener, then new item listener. Just we are creating a like function or a constructor, you can tell, for this class basically. And then what it should do, like it will like identify or see what is the changes which the user is doing. Like in the checkbox is ticked or unticked. Here it is the radio button. So if it is checked, it will show checkbox checked. Otherwise, it will not show anything because we are not setting any condition here. We are just adding only. It will be just checked or unchecked. So just the same usual one. So it will, if I click Java, it will show Java checkbox checked, nothing else. So one thing what we are doing is like we are not reading anything from the user or writing anything. We are setting this condition. But there is a possibility if you read this E, you can know what is being read or what is the state change basically. If the state change is changed or unchanged. In the previous case, we saw, I'll go back to the previous one where we saw like E dot get state change. So this will give you a Boolean value basically, true or false. If it is true, equal to 1, then like you can keep any condition you want, or if you want, you can set a series of commands to be executed or to be displayed in the window. I'll go back right side, sorry. So same way you can use that E for showing here in this case the item event listener basically that is being used here. But here this is just to display on the top of your window. This is that label which we created for the label class. The next one will be choice. This is almost same. One more thing I want to show, which is think key listener. That will be interesting. So this is for choice. You can like same, like you can tell like a switch case kind of thing. Same like choose. You can choose from a list basically. So the example class is choice example. Adding a frame, object creation for the choice class, setting boundaries where it should start and all those things. And c.add item. Like c.add is your function, and you can add anything, like any list of items you want to add. The C is our object, right? So you can directly add that C. So this will hold like all the items. This is for like size of the frame. And by default, all these things. If you look, it will show like this drop-down menu. Limited drop-down menu. This all things will come in when you are creating a form or when you are creating any application thing. You can use all these features. Like say, you can select any of the item, and then same way we used a list listener for that one. Here we can use the action listener to read what the user is choosing basically. So choice example, same, everything is same here, but the new thing added here is this action listener. What this one will do is like this one will have multiple functions inbuilt in them. So what here we are trying to do is we are, instead of adding just item number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we are adding a list of programming languages. So when you choose from the drop-down menu, what it will show is like it will get that item from that list, get selected index. Like basically we are getting the index of that, and then another function is there. With using the index, it will identify what is the element or what is the chosen programming language, and it will save this in string data, like programming language selected is what is the language it will show, and you can set label, like it show the text actually. Instead of text box, we are just using label for that. It will just display the language selected. So if I choose Java, and then you can add a button to show, but I think here they will not add any button. But I think this will give you already a choice. Let's go back and try how this one works. You can try this one, some meaningful example instead of programming language. So as example is my class name. Okay. Do I have it? Okay, look, we'll go. I don't know what I modified in that. Let me see. Okay, this is checkbox. Okay, sorry. I ran the wrong program. Of writing size, I wrote checkbox. So by default, it adds a button called show. So PHP, if I click show, it showed me the language. Since here we did not add anything for the show button, but by default, this has action performed will show show icon. I'm not very sure, but it adds by default, I think, because we did not mention anywhere it should show something, but it is like by default it will show this action listener is showing a button object which will capture and then like the action event happening, and it is just using the basic function it's present in that object. Like for the object which we are looking, C. So C is our object basically. So in C we are adding all these elements into it. So first we are getting the index, and then based on the index get the item, and then it is just showing us as a label basically here. If I choose C++, it will show the changed programming language basically. You can add multiple labels. So here we are doing is like only one label we are creating, like the final one. But you can have multiple label objects and then show label at various position. One thing is like here we are just setting the label size, but and we are giving the alignment to be center. You have to be careful where you are keeping the labels. It can be, if you give some random number, it can go somewhere in the window. Any questions? Someone was unmuted, I guess. Okay. Then I will show, maybe like we'll see some concept. So this is same, but the thing is here it is list element. You can add multiple list. So same concept, same list example, but the class name is different. That is for list. You can set multiple items in a list. So you can see what is the difference here and there. So if I show the previous one, it's like a drop down. It will just display only one item. When I click only, it will show me, or it will show the whichever item is selected will appear here. But the difference between this one and this one is, in case of list, it will show me all the elements. Just with scroll down, it will show. So same, both are like similar one. Instead of there we are using the different option, we are here just displaying as items which are present in a simple list kind of thing. This list is same as the previous one. We can use or combine multiple list. You can add item like this previous concept, same as the previous concept. No, nothing new except this list class. And here you can mention how many items you want to like display in the list. If you don't want, you can just keep it empty. But if you parse, it will be considered as number of elements in the list. So here we are just going to read the list element selected, and then we are going to show it as label basically. So frame to frame object to create a frame, and then setting the label one which will be shown at the as we change or as we choose the element from the list, and alignment for that label, and then setting size for the label. And button we are clicking, like you can keep this button and then you can maybe change it to submit instead of show, or display, something like that. And this is for the button object. We are setting where it should start, where it should end. What is the dimension of that? Maybe you can change the dimension and play with it, like square shape or like square in the sense like same dimension, 30, 30 like that. And one more object with a final keyword, which is L1. So this is not also going to change because this list is like going to be default. So by default it is false in the sense like nothing is selected, and it is having 4 elements. And this is the boundary where it should start, end, dimensions, length, breadth, all those things. And we are adding elements, C, C++, Java, PHP. So these are the list elements. And this is for the second list object. This is also having 4 elements, and then by default something is selected here. Like by default it is true in the sense like you can notice by default this is selected. You can see why it is selected here. Let's see why it is selected. True. Let's see. Setting bound is for the just bound, like keeping the condition where it should start, end, length, breadth. You can see this is square shaped. I think both are square shaped here. Yeah, 70-70. 70-70, that's why it is square shaped. And here also we are adding like some label or something like that, like Turbo C++ for C, Spring for C++, Hibernate mode for Java, Code Eliminator for PHP. And then we are adding the labels to the frame and then the button to the frame. All the objects can be added. Setting the size for the frame 450 by 450, that is the total square object, and then layout is null, and then visibility is true. Now we want to take the action listener class. B is for the button class. Action listener is our class name, that is the function method add action listener. What it should take is like it should take from the action listener constructor. And basically inside that we have a method which will capture or which will catch the action performed, whatever we are doing. So what we are doing is using the object E from the action event class. This is general statement, just a string. L1 is our list one, right? So list one dot get item. So how we are getting is by getting the index of that list. So get the index from the list which is selected, and then what is the item, and then print the item. And then we are adding it to this data actually. It will be like programming language selected, what is the programming language, plus what is the framework selected. And to get the framework, what we are doing is we are using a simple loop. What it will do is it will take frame L2 and then get the selected item by using what is the frame value. Here the frame value is like the selected programming language, right, from the frame. So it will add everything together, like data is our programming language and the framework is the framework like Turbo C++, Spring, Hibernate or Coordinator. So then we are setting the label for, like, it is just showing the data actually. We are not changing here. What it is doing is like it will show the date, programming language selected, say C++, plus the frame is this one, like say Spring or whatever is appropriate or respective one will be selected here. In this example, you can see programming language selected is Java and framework selected is Spring and Hibernate. So what I missed here is this one. So where is it? So by default false in the sense, I think that only I missed. Turbo C. And let's see what this true false is doing here. We can try this program. Saved already, I think. Let's take example, save as. Okay, if I able to click multiple, okay. Okay. So this is the true false value difference. So what is happening here is like if I set it true, I can select multiple values, but if I set false, it can select only one. Let's change this to true also. I'll do pick where whatever I said is right or wrong. If I click here, it should show like framework selected as this. You can extend the window length if it is not showing, but you can define it in the program itself. Let me go back and recompile again. C, Hibernate, C++. Yeah, as I said, the true false is doing that. Since it can capture only one, it is showing. Why this error is coming is because for the second one we used a loop, but for the first one we did not use a loop. If you notice the program, for each of the string frame, like frame, get from the list to get the selected item. But here, this is just showing a get item. This is run only once, right? So that's why if I select multiple, it is throwing me an error. You can read what is the error message. It is saying event dispatch thread run event pump event filter is not matched for one event filter. So these are the error because it is not able to capture, or it is not able to take that multiple objects as input. So it is throwing me an exception, which is AWT event Q0. So you can use try and for to set this and to like capture the exception. But by default, if you give false for this one, but the thing is like now I can change this to false also. Nothing is going to change. Why? Because this is just a list only. No, nothing is going to change. Even it is 100 or 200 also it will work, or if it is 1 also it will work. Now I can select only one from here. I can select all 4 from here. I click, it will automatically change. That is the value for true and false while creating the object basically. So set the frame length, it is going outside the bound, and also we kept the label as center, so we are not able to read any of the text. Maybe we can add a new line character, then it will work. It will work in the sense like it will just display or show in the next line. That way we can change it. Slash n is here. Let's see how this slash n is taking us. I'm not sure how it will work. Let's see. Just only more, then only I can see all. Show. Oh, it is not showing me that slash n character also. It is going out of bound. Let's go here back. Where is this part? L1. Oh, it is just printing the item here. It's not even. Oh, this is a variable. That's why. If I want to change, I have to generate in the print statement. Then it will display it correctly. I think there are many classes. I'll just show you maybe. These are important. Maybe like we will see later. I think I'll stop here. Maybe you can practice all these ones, these AWT classes for today. And if you have not completed the previous exercise, you can complete those also. Any questions, any doubts? Anyone? Any questions regarding whatever we saw from the AWT basic things? You can also explore, like if you are interested, you can explore other things like Canvas. Yeah, like Canvas can be used for like drawing or coloring. Actually, basically, you can use whatever we saw, the paint or those things from the Applet one, we can use here. Canvas is one. Scroll bar is to add scroll bar to the option. Like for a page, we used to add a scroll bar, right? You can add that also. Menu items. So these are some example. Like all the concept has the same thing. Like so, this you might have seen in any simple application you can create. Even for say here, I have hidden that one. Let me click Alt. Alt is not working. Control Alt or Function Alt. I think it comes only in Mozilla or some other app where I can hide the menu bar actually. So there is no menu bar here, it is showing, but if I press Alt, it will show me the menu bar here. While you can create this way also using AWT with other classes. That's why like, it's very huge concept that AWT. Just whatever we saw is very simple. Once you can try this and then make simple application kind of thing to show what the user is choosing, maybe, or ask the user to input something. So the input ones are here actually. So listener class. So here it will take the input and then you can like add, or you can know what the user is clicking or typing actually. Key listener is for keyboard listener. So keys pressed, keys released. So if you type this, it will show what you are doing, like simple one. Maybe you can try this example of word count or character count, just to calculate how many characters are there, or what is the length of a given sequence. That way you can make this as a simple program to show with a AWT window. Then I think I will stop here. We'll see further some different questions and application of AWT. If there is any questions, please let me know. For now.
So
Yeah.
so we can include file handling as well.
Yeah, you can use file handling. The same we saw, right? Open and close the file handling concept in Java. That will come in streams basically. You can include these streams into also AWT basically.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So that I think that will be easy to create a simple application where you can use a file as an input and then get details. Let me check an example. So I hope it will be there. Let's see. AWT file handling. Okay. Yeah, gigs or gigs. So simple example they have created is using AWT. What they are doing is like they are trying to create a form where it can take students' details basically. Let's see output. Yeah, see, you can see this window. So this is the applet window. So name we can type, section, the drop down menu, email address, phone number, branches for drop down, or you can use list also. Then save or close. They are just going to display this actually, I think. Let's see. So just someone has entered the details. And this we didn't see here. It is there actually, the dialog box or the pop-up menu. So it will show pop-up menu, like you can add anything to the pop-up menu, like what you want. Like if you want to display that your profile is updated or something like that, you can add that pop-up menu also. And in file it is stored basically here now. So here, this is not read file. This is basically collecting your data from the applet program, AWT program, and writing that results into a file. So we can like create this way and then have a list of names, all those things. Again, you can, this is not a very useful one because putting in a text document is like not going to be, either we have to use other option to save it as a CSV file, so you can input into a database or things. That way you can use AWT to create an application window basically. Let me check anything is there, files. You can read a Java, FASTA file or something like that. I think this is also there. Yeah. File dialog is the one which uses a pop-up window to read files into AWT actually. Any example they have given? Yeah. This is where they are just choosing, like you can see it is displaying what file is selected. Just the path it is showing, nothing else it is showing here. But you can additionally develop on this and then use file handlers to read what is the file content and then display it in the window.
Okay, sir. So like we can
Read a FASTA file or something like that.
okay. So can we means check the format as well? Means is there any class for it? We have to do it by a try catch.
I mean, I'm not going to show that, but I will just show you the basics because
Yes,
this,
I will try.
yeah, because this AWT is very huge one. Like it has a lot of functions, lot of classes. It's not, I can't cover everything, but I'm just trying to. Basically, you understood the concept, right? Like mostly we will just import any class and then try to use the functions. Again, in every programming language or any package, it is not possible to learn all the functions, all the things. It's again a necessity-based learning only. So if you want to develop or want to add something to it, as you asked just now, right? Even I don't know how to import file. Just you can find how we can import file. There are like a lot of functions and classes which are specific to do a specific task. So that way we can. It's not possible to know everything. Also, it's not expected. Also, but you understand the basic concept, how to add or how to include elements or components into a applet window. So that it's even if you don't know also, like you are reading something from online or you are seeing the code. Just now we saw that Geeks code, right? So where we just see the code, but you can understand the concepts, basic concept, how we are adding the frame, or what is this element, or what if this is an object or a class. So that is enough. If you understand the basic fundamental concepts clearly, just you can build on it. And again, one programming language is enough. Like if you understand very well concepts of programming in one language, rest all of them are like inherited only. Just little modification, like polymorphism. So polymorphism in the sense, like I'm saying about like syntax. Here we are using print. We are using a big statement like system.out.println. You can use just print. In C it will be printf. So it like now we are just in Python. It's just print. So same R also print. So the slight variations will be there, but the core concept will be same.
Okay, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Any other questions? Any questions, doubts? If not, I'll just stop here for today. Then we will meet in the next class. But if you want, I can keep the meeting open for you to practice. Otherwise, I'll stop here. Maybe you can rejoin after half an hour to practice some questions. What is your preference? How you want it to be, like the practical ones?
So can you
Sir,
pose the
we will
questions
practice
in the
it.
classroom?
Yeah. There is no direct questions. I just want you to explore the concept of this AWT basically. If you have already done the previous ones, now just start with AWT Otherwise, try to complete the previous ones. And I think someone else was also speaking up. Two were speaking at the same time. So who was the other one? Somebody. Someone was asking anything? I'll just post this link. So how you want? You want to join back after half an hour, or you want to practice by yourself?
So we will practice first.
By yourself, surely.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but make sure you practice, because you may not practice at times, but try to at least try some programs. That's enough. Just change some parameters and see, observe what it is changing, what is new.
Yes, sir.
Then I think I'll end here for today. Then we will meet in next class. If you have any questions, you can post in classroom or in the group, or even mail me. Anything is fine.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.